Hey girlies, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be going over a very niche team comp for Himiko. So I actually already recently made a video on Himiko and the best team comp I think you should go on her, and that consisted of Sampo, Serval, and Natasha. You can go over to that video if you want to see why I believe those characters are really good with Himiko, but in this video, we're going to go over a different team comp, which is going to consist of only fire characters. I'm going to go over the characters and why this team comp works, and I'm also going to give a rundown on the pros and cons of this team comp. I won't be going in depth on how to build each character, but I will give some tips here and there. In my other Himiko team comp video, I did briefly mention there are 3 things that I wanted to cover when making a Himiko team comp. Number 1 was that I wanted Himiko to be a star player in the team, or at least a big part of the team. I didn't want her to be something you slapped on and was an afterthought. Number 2 was that I wanted characters that can bring out the best of Himiko's kit. I wanted them to actually interact with Himiko's kit rather than isolated pieces put together in one team. And number 3 is that I want a team comp that can help with Himiko's weaknesses. As you all know, Himiko is an amazing AoE damage dealer, but she lacks in the single target damage department. Now with all that out of the way, let's get into the team comp. So this is a team comp which you can see is very niche and consists of only fire characters. So right off the bat you can see that Himiko is your AoE damage dealer, Hook is your single target damage dealer, Asta is your buffer, and the fire main character is your sustain unit or tank. Before we get into each character and why I believe they work really well with Himiko, I just wanted to quickly say that the fire main character should be put on the side and Hook should be put next to the fire main character. The positioning does matter, so if the fire main character does taunt the enemy and the enemy does like some splash damage or AoE moment, it's going to AoE onto Hook, and Hook does have a trace or passive that does let her heal up a little bit. So positioning does matter, it might save you a few fights or lives. Now let's get into each character starting with Himiko. Now with Himiko, I already spoke about her in my other video, but we're going to go over it again. So if we go into Himiko's traces, we can see right here that she has a passive that lets her skill do extra damage to burnt targets. This mechanic is the reason why we're going to be putting in our other fire characters into this team comp. We also have this technique by Himiko which increases fire damage taken by enemies, which is amazing for other fire characters. Let's next go into Hook, who is a single target damage dealer. If we go into Hook's kit, we can see that her skill applies a fire damage over time, which is amazing for Himiko because then Himiko can do extra damage with her skill. Hook's passive also lets her do extra damage to burnt targets, which is amazing additional damage for us. Next up is Asta, who provides quite a lot of buffs for our team. So starting off, we all know that Asta's ultimate provides speed boost to our whole entire team, which is amazing, but next up is her talent that allows her to gain stacks when she hits multiple targets, or different targets should I say, and those stacks make her team have extra attack. Asta can go up to 5 stacks with her attack boost, but I will say that you're not going to be able to maintain those 5 stacks for most fights. When I'm playing Asta, mostly I'm only able to maintain around 1 to 2 stacks each fight. So starting off, we have this passive called Sparks, which applies a burn when Asta uses her basic attack on an enemy, which again, burn is great for Himiko and it's also good for Hook. Now the next passive, which is the more important one, is called Ignite. When Asta is on the field, all allies' fire damage increases by 18%, which is amazing for Himiko. So going back over the 3 key points that we mentioned about what we wanted out of a Himiko team comp, on a second point we mentioned that we wanted a team comp that can help highlight Himiko's strength and work well with her kit. This is important because in the future we're going to be getting characters that might replace Himiko because they might be stronger. So for example, Jing Yuan is actually going to be coming out for our next banner, and he's considered to be an S tier character or very strong. A lot of people are going to be replacing Himiko with Jing Yuan, but for some of us, we don't want to replace Himiko because we love Himiko. For me, I love Himiko, I'm a Himiko stan, so I just want to keep playing her. So we need ways or a team that can help Himiko be a little bit more stronger than Jing Yuan, or at least be on the same playing field. And this is why I believe Asta works really well, because of her extra fire damage that she provides to Himiko that she wouldn't be able to provide with Jing Yuan. Yes, you could replace Himiko with Jing Yuan, but Jing Yuan and Asta don't work as well as Himiko and Asta. Next up is a fire main character who is a sustain or tank unit. For those that don't know, the fire main character is a tank and their skill taunts the enemy, which makes the enemies hit them instead of the other teammates. The fire main character's passive is amazing. It applies a shield to your whole entire team whenever the main character uses their attack, skill, or ultimate. I will say that the shielding provided is not an insane amount, so if you're versing a boss that does a lot of single target damage or a lot of AoE damage, you might not be able to shield through everything, so your team might slowly whittle down and die. The fire main character doesn't don't really have many qualities that work well with this team other than that it is fire, so it works well with Asta's fire damage boost. So if you want to use a healer, by all means go ahead. If in the future miHoYo releases a fire healer or whatever, I would love to update this team comp and see how it goes. If you do decide to use this fire team comp and keep the fire main character for the simulated universe, I highly recommend you go into the abundance path, which is the healing path. I have tried using the preservation like 3 times for the world 6. It did not work, it's not enough, and your team will eventually die. And I have gone the hunt path, which is a damage path, and it's just not enough healing or shielding for your team. The bosses just do too much damage and eventually you will die. So I highly recommend using the abundance, and if you do use the abundance path, you do need to balance it out with some damage type of cards so your team does damage and isn't like doing like a tiny tickle damage. So those are all the upsides of this team comp and why I believe these characters work really well with Himiko. But let's get into the downsides of this team comp, and right off the bat you can probably tell that this team comp lacks a lot of sustain. The fire main character shielding is good, however not amazing enough to stop damage from harder bosses. So like I said, if you want to replace the fire main character with a healer, then go right ahead. The second problem I kind of came across with this team comp is its skill point management or economy. So if we imagine a scenario with lots of trash mobs, we're most likely going to be using Himiko's skill for AoE damage and the fire main character skill for taunting to save some damage. Now that leaves us left with Asta and Hook. Now if we use Asta's skill, we can gain more stacks with her passive, which increases our whole entire team's attack. However, I feel like this isn't useful because if you damage boost your whole entire team and then Himiko comes next, you're gonna be using her skill, which is great, she does extra damage, but then you're most likely not gonna be using Hook's skill in an AoE scenario because Hook just will be using a skill point, which you will need for the fire main character to taunt the enemy, and if the fire main character is taunting, then they're not doing damage, which means the attack boost from Asta is kind of irrelevant. Now in a perfect world, it would be lovely for every character to be using their skill every turn, however it's just not possible, you're gonna run out of skill points, so I feel like Himiko and the main character are the ones that use the skill, and Asta and Hook are the ones that use their auto attack in an AoE trash mob scenario. Now if we're imagining a single target bossing scenario, obviously Himiko does not excel at that, so you're most likely going to be alternating between her auto attack and her skill. For Asta, you're most likely only going to be using her auto attack unless you're versing a boss that is weak to fire, in which case her skill is amazing at breaking their shield. Hook is obviously going to be using all your skill points because she is amazing at single target damage, which is amazing for bossing. And for the fire main character, you're probably going to be alternating from auto attacking and using the skill to save damage. It depends on the situation and how much damage you're taking. With skill point management, there actually is a Harmony light cone that helps give skill points to your team. Now if we go into the store, we can actually purchase the light cone called But the Battle Isn't Over, which is right here. Now I can't really confirm if this works with Asta's ultimate, but you can regenerate 1 skill point when the wearer uses their ultimate on an ally. Now I would think that this should work on Asta because it does apply on allies, but with this wording, I feel like they might be saying it's only for single target ultimates, but I'm not too sure. If anyone can confirm this in the comment section below, please do. As a final random tip from me, when it comes to Asta's relics, a lot of people recommend going the Thief set, which increases break effect, which is amazing for Asta. However, since we are playing a full-on fire team comp, everyone on this team can break an enemy that is weak to fire. It wouldn't be able to break anything else that is outside of fire, but if the enemy is already weak to fire, then we don't really need that extra break effect from Asta because everyone else on this team can melt through that enemy. So I actually recommend just going the fire damage set for Asta so she can do more damage. If you want to go the break effect, go ahead, but I just feel like it's a bit redundant and not really necessary because again, everyone on your team can break through fire. And that's all for this team and why I believe all these characters work well with Himiko and why you should run them with Himiko. I will say that this team comp is a work in progress and we're probably going to be getting other characters in the future, maybe like a fire healer or other fire units that would be amazing for this team. So if anything changes, I will be making updated videos for this Himiko team comp. But with all that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more of these type of videos, you can always subscribe to my channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. I really hope that all Aoi Himiko-sans give this team comp a shot, and I hope you like it. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. I really hope you girls have a lovely time playing Honkai Star and a lovely day in general. Thank you for watching. Bye bye!